Hello folks, welcome back to my channel. We're doing another Chatty Get Ready With Me today because of course we are. I just love these so much because it feels like I'm like sitting down and just like chatting with y'all and hanging out, and I just really like that energy. I really like those vibes. But today we're talking about something that I get asked about a lot over on my TikTok, and that I've also been asked about on Instagram and stuff, and I've like talked about a little bit, but I don't know, I wanted to sit down and talk about it more, and that is my experience as someone who is non-binary with a plastic surgery and gender-affirming surgeries outside of, I guess you could say, like, the norm or the expected. And for those who are not aware, I am non-binary. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns, and I did have 2 different rounds of plastic surgery in recent years, and I'm actually planning on having a third semi-soon, and I would consider these surgeries gender-affirming. And something that I find to be absolutely wild is how long it took me to even be able to say that sentence. Like, I had these surgeries, and they were gender-affirming for me. And for those wondering, in 2020, I had a BBL, better known as a Brazilian butt lift, along with a 360-degree liposuction. And then last year, in 2021, I went back for a second round of 360 lipo with vaser etching to create a more masculine abdominal shape and also some masculinizing jaw work. And my hope is sometime either this year or next year to go back and have just a little bit more masculinizing work done on my face. I want to do a little bit more sculpting along my jawline, and I want to do a partial buccal fat pad removal to kind of give me those stronger cheekbone and jawline. So just do a little bit more work on this area of my face. Now, these were surgeries that I had been considering for a very, very long time. I actually started looking into them and setting things up with my surgeon back in like 2018, 2017. It was a while ago. And when I first started looking into them, I didn't like actively view them as gender affirming services. I was like, oh, these are just like plastic surgeries that I want because they'll make me feel better about myself. Even though I was actively seeking out a surgeon who would be comfortable doing both masculinizing and feminizing work on me at once, and I was explaining my surgery goals in comparison to looking like a fantasy creature or an anime character. I was talking about like elves and fairies and angels as like inspiration for what I wanted my body to look like. And I was like talking in abstract terms about like gender and the way that my body reflected my gender. But despite all of this, if you had asked me back in like whatever 2018, oh, is the torso reshaping work you're looking to get done gender affirming or like related to your gender expression or like a trans or non-binary related surgery, I would have been like, no, not at all. It's just gonna make me feel better about me, and it's not that. And I truly think this comes from this very internalized, like, limiting perspective that, like, transness and non-binariness looks one specific way, and that's come out as trans or non-binary, take hormones, get top surgery, get bottom surgery, and, like, that's the route, that's the path that you take, and anything outside of that, you know, isn't a part of that. It makes you feel not trans enough or not non-binary enough not to be going down those paths and doing those things and exploring doing those things. You know, like we say it all the time, like non-binary people don't owe anyone androgyny. It's not a requirement of being non-binary to exist in this like perfect liminal space between male and female. Non-binary people can present completely feminine, completely masculine, different on different days. Like there's no set baseline or structure for what being non-binary looks like. But despite knowing that and understanding that and truly believing in it, we still internalize other things, especially when it comes to ourselves. So even though I knew and I believed that, there's still a really big part of me that was like, yes, but I am required to be androgynous, or I have to do these things in order to feel non-binary enough. And to really a really big thing that freed me from that mindset was accepting and embracing the fact that my plastic surgeries were gender affirming surgeries, and that gender affirming surgery doesn't have to just look like top or bottom surgery. For me, at least at present, I don't really have that desire towards top or bottom surgery. It's not something that I'm planning on. But the other surgeries that I did get, I did really feel like I wanted and really feel like I fit me. When I started looking into these surgeries, my goal from the very beginning had been to achieve a figure and a body image that did feel more like me. And it is something that does lean more in the direction of androgyny. Even though, as I just said, non-binary people don't owe anyone androgyny, and they don't. But for me, my goal was for something more androgynous. I was living in Florida at the time, and if I'm being abundantly honest, like, my eating disorder had been very bad for a while, and I had lost a lot of weight in a not so healthy way. And I was also doing a lot of workout and weightlifting, and pull and lyra and just a lot of physical activity. I was at the lowest weight I had ever been as an adult, and I was getting these muscles, and I still didn't like how I looked in the mirror. And I realized that it really hadn't been about what I weighed or like how toned or fit I was, that I was just not happy with the shape of my body. I would look in the mirror and I would be getting strong. I would have these muscles. I could see the result of my training and my hard work, and it still wasn't what I wanted. I still wasn't happy with what I saw. But then I looked at men who worked out in my gym, and also women who I knew used steroids as part of their workout plan, and I went, oh, well, gosh, I really like how that looks. And I started playing around. I actually started like editing some images of myself to have like these more masculine lines in certain places. And I really liked it. But at the same time, I wanted to like keep some of my feminine lines. I remember especially looking at like artwork, and the way that artists depicted these like fantastical creatures like elves and angels, and how they had these like impossible blends of male and female figures, these like strong jawlines with these beautiful doe eyes and like long eyelashes, and these full hips and thighs, but these like muscular calves and muscular torsos and strong arms that weren't super built but were definitely, more muscular. And I loved that. I loved that melding of masculinity and femininity. And my body, my baseline default genetics, I was eating very carefully. I was working out a whole bunch. I was basically doing everything you could to the extreme, and my body was just not going to look like that. I know because I tried. I lost the weight, I did the workouts, I ate the food, and, I got slim and I got toned and I got muscular, and it still wasn't the way that I wanted. So I started looking into plastic surgery, and living in Miami at the time, well, technically Fort Lauderdale, but close to Miami, it was the perfect place because that is plastic surgery central. And I went on consultations with a number of different top surgeons in Miami. And a lot of them kind of like brushed me off and didn't really take me seriously. I would talk about like what my goals were, and specifically like using language like a feminizing effect on my hips and a masculinizing effect on my face and jaw. And a lot of the surgeons would be like, oh, no, you don't have to say, we're not going to make you masculine. It's not masculinizing. Like, we'll just make you toned, or we'll just make you fit for a woman. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I want masculinizing. And it wasn't until I found Dr. Salama and I had that whole conversation with him, and he had some of the same pushback at first, and I explained what I was looking for, and I talked about, and showed him like fantasy images and talked about my goals, and he got real quiet, and he was like, well, it's pretty unorthodox, and I want to make sure that this is something you really want, but also obviously like you have all these tattoos, you have all these piercings, you have all these body modifications. Clearly, your goal is not natural. Your goal is not normal. Your goal is not average. So if you tell me that you're interested in me treating some of your surgeries the way I treat my male patients and some of your surgeries the way I treat my female patients, I can do that. And even though he's a traditional plastic surgeon in Miami who's used to upholding traditional gender norms, and he doesn't, totally get the non-binary thing, and certain things like that. He still made an effort to learn and understand and be respectful of me, of my goals, and he was open to and willing to do it. And he was like, this is very different from any other work that I typically do, but you seem seriously interested in it, and different is cool, different is fun, so why not? Now, an important thing to remember with plastic surgery, just like with piercings and tattoos, is that it doesn't happen immediately and it doesn't happen overnight. So after talking about my goals with Dr. Salama and my plans, we opted to split my surgeries up into 2 separate surgeries with about 8 months to a year in between to allow for healing and recovery. The first surgery we did was my BBL, so they did 360 lipo. They did liposuction all around my waist and my midsection. They processed some of the fat that they removed, and that was reimplanted into my butt and hips. And during that lipo, he started creating the shape towards more masculinizing my torso. He kind of started doing the liposuction the way that he would when he's doing liposuction and laser etching on men. And then for my BBL, we didn't go like... I didn't want a super huge butt. We just went with a larger, fuller butt, but more importantly, curvier hips down into my fuller thighs and like just a more feminine shape for that part of my body. Then for my second round of surgery, we did a second round of 360 lipos. We did liposuction all around the midsection, and this time he added laser etching. So he did the liposuction in a way to kind of give me that more masculine torso shape and kind of like drop my waistline lower, the way men's waists, natural waists, tend to sit. And then laser etching, he used tools to create abdominal lines and abdominal shapes, and like V-cut lines. And I had done all the working out. I was getting abs from working out, and I wasn't happy with how they looked on me because they were being influenced by my estrogen and my hormonal makeup. So he helped give me a foundation that looked more influenced by testosterone as a hormonal makeup. And in that surgery is also when we did the masculinizing jaw work. So we did some liposuction along my jaw in a way to kind of shape a stronger jawline. Now, we knew that the jaw lipo would be pretty subtle on its own, and I didn't want to jump right off the deep end in doing stuff on my face and not liking how it looks. And I do already notice a big difference. I'll throw up some before and afters of my jaw. And I'm super happy with it. And that's why I'm going back for another round. We're going to do a little bit more jaw lipo to really accentuate that jaw curve. And then we're going to do a partial buccal fat pad removal to accentuate it from the top of my face, which is really going to help create, I think, just this like masculine jaw structure here. But then I'm going to keep the rest of my face the same. I'm not going to do like a nose job or anything else because I want to keep like soft feminine eyes, and I really like my nose, but I'd like to have those masculine touches down here. And it's been unbelievable what the process of getting these surgeries has done for me. I mean, in no way has it cured or magically fixed my eating disorder or negative self-thoughts that I have about my body, but it's so much better than it ever was before. I look in the mirror and I see a body that feels infinitely more like me and like what I want to see now after surgery. I have such a better relationship with food and my body after surgery, and I understand that that may be an unpopular take because I know for some folks with eating disorders, plastic surgery can worsen the disorder. But one person's experience is not everyone's experience. And for me, a lot of my eating disorder was rooted in gender dysmorphia and in my gender identity. And these surgeries that allowed me to present in a way that was more accurate for me were really instrumental in helping with my eating disorder. And I am in an infinitely better place with my relationship with food and my body than I ever was before the surgeries. And I do credit the surgeries with that. And it really helped my dysphoria in ways I wasn't expecting. Like, I had a lot of dysphoria about my chest and my torso. Even when I would wear binders, it was really difficult. And now, with the work that he's done on my torso and my stomach, when I wear a binder, I look at how my stomach and my torso shows. I will wear binders with crop tops or under shirts that just kind of let my stomach peek out. And I feel so much better. And it's so much easier for me to look in the mirror and see something I like. And all it took was him just doing liposuction in a way that just dropped my waistline like an inch or two into this more masculine place on my torso. This tiny little change that you don't even think about when we think about gender affirming surgeries, moving a waistline. But wow, does it do so much for subtly masculinizing my features and allowing me in certain clothing to get so much closer to looking the way that I want to. And one of the biggest things is like the confidence in myself and my gender identity and the security that these surgeries have given me. Not everyone's path through being trans or non-binary is going to look the same. Not everyone is going to come out as trans, start hormones, start hair removal, get top surgery, get bottom surgery. That's not the path for everyone. For me, I was very intimidated by the thought of taking HRT or testosterone. I was scared because there were certain aspects of it that I didn't want to have change, even as there were other aspects that I was very interested in. And a part of me also felt like an imposter, like testosterone should be reserved for trans men only, not for this non-binary person who wants some of those changes, but not all of them. And it was very hard for me to reconcile that. But now, after these surgeries, this is very new. I can't believe I'm saying this on camera. Saying this on camera is like speaking it into existence. I am starting to consider taking testosterone. I've been talking about it with my partner, and I found some clinics in Philly that I like, and I'm just working on getting the nerve up to schedule an appointment to do a consult and find out about it. I'm definitely big time procrastinating that because I'm very scared and I'm very nervous, and I don't know what I'm so nervous about, but I wouldn't have even been considering that without having gotten my surgeries first and how affirming they were for me. So I don't know, maybe I'll make an update video or post if that ends up being a thing that happens, but I'm really thinking about it. Man, the sun is truly coming out to say hello in this video. I don't know how this is going to show up on camera. I hope it's not overexposed. We'll see. It's very pretty in person, though. I'm living for this sunlight. You know, for me, my journey with my gender identity and being non-binary, those surgeries were a really integral part of that experience and that journey for me. And I don't think it would be the same if I had started with hormones or started somewhere else. I really do feel for me that plastic surgery was the right place to start. And I like cannot speak highly enough about the level of self-confidence and security that it has given me. It's also worth noting that I just kind of think all plastic surgery is gender affirming when we get into it. Like a cis woman getting a breast augmentation, that's still gender affirming, you know? A cis man getting vaser etching to have more masculine torso and abs, a cis man getting a chin implant for a more masculine face, that's still gender affirming. Plastic surgery inherently has been gender affirming for cis men and women since the inception of this type of surgery. We as non-binary people and as trans people can access those surgeries for our own gender affirmation as well. I would love to see more discussion about plastic surgery and gender affirmation for cis folks as well, especially, because I think the more we discuss the way that gender affirming things exist in everyone's life, the more open-minded we can be to understanding gender affirmation for genders outside of our own. But I would also love to see more discussion about the ways that trans and non-binary people can use surgeries outside of top and bottom surgery or FFS to embrace their body, to help with their dysphoria, and to look the way they want to. Those aren't the only plastic surgeries that are out there that exist. There's so many more that are options to helping us affirm our gender. I am truly beyond thrilled with the results of my surgery, and they are one of the best, most impactful decisions that I have ever made for my gender identity, for my relationship with my body, for my eating disorder, for so many different things in my life. And to those at home, whether you're cisgendered, trans, non-binary, if you've struggled with thoughts about your appearance, or if there's things that you'd like to change about your body, plastic surgery is an option. Now, it would be undue of me to make this video, even if it's just a chatty get ready with me, without mentioning that there are a lot of risks that come with plastic surgery. You do have to be very careful in getting it done. You need to make sure you're finding a good surgeon and understand that the risks from surgery like that are high, and make sure that there are risks that you're comfortable with. Do your research, be really cautious with it, and don't just jump into it. I also, if you do struggle with an eating disorder or other mental health issues, strongly suggest that you work with your therapist before, during, and after getting plastic surgery. Since I deal with an eating disorder, my therapist was an integral part of my plastic surgery procedure in order to make sure that these surgeries ended up being healthy and safe for me and not detrimental. But that being said, I think as long as you're going to go into these surgeries with care and caution, as long as you're being responsible about what you're getting done, who you're seeing, and using best practices, and you're working with the guidance of your mental health professionals, plastic surgeries are absolutely an incredible way of helping with body image issues, with gender identity issues, and with dysphoria. Thanks for hanging out and chatting with me today and letting me kind of like word vomit about some of my experiences as a non-binary person with plastic surgery. If you'd like to see me do another one of these just about my plastic surgery experience in general and talking about like the procedure, the recovery, what it felt like, what it cost, all that stuff, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see like a formatted video about my plastic surgery journey, or if you'd like to see me talk more about my gender identity experiences, let me know that too. Thanks for hanging out. I'm sure we'll sit down and chat together soon, and have an awesome rest of your day. Bye!